Hello and welcome to the RCB podcast powered by Kotak Mahindra Bank.
I remember, I think it was Ray Jennings at the time, coach, and Sid, who approached me. I remember we were playing the Champions League in South Africa, and shortly after that were the retentions going to take place. So Ray Jennings and Sid came and they said, we want to have a chat with you. We are looking to retain only you from next year onwards, and we'll build a totally new squad. And I was like, that's great. That's the opportunity I'm looking for. But I told them very clearly, there's only one condition. I will only bat at number 3 and nowhere else. They said, fair enough. And I knew that I can do something special for the team, and I had no problem accepting that responsibility and for the team to feel like, yes, they can count on me.
ये है मेरा ड्राइवर्स लाइसेंस, माय मेट्रो कार्ड और ये है मेरा फैन कार्ड।
Hey everybody, welcome to the RCB podcast. My name is Danish and with me today, Virat. Virat, I'm going to begin by asking you the theme of this year's podcast, which is how's the IPL changed your life?
Oh, that's a pretty impactful theme. Well, like so many other people, IPL has had a big influence and impact in my life. I think outside of playing for India and having the opportunity to play for India, IPL really gave me the platform to continue to show my capabilities and compete against the best players in the world and share knowledge with them. I think that was the most important thing that really added a different dimension to my understanding of the game and really helped me move ahead in a very progressive manner, where I was picking brains of people that I probably wouldn't have come across before. How to play in different conditions, what mindset they have. People have different ways to succeed, so it just can't be one template. So I used to be so excited and grateful for the opportunity to pick their brains and just learn from them day in, day out. And that for me has been the standout feature of IPL. Of course, you come to any tournament, you want to win, you want to perform, but the experience of actually getting to know people and understanding their mindset and speaking to them about the game, different perspectives altogether, that I think has been the most amazing thing about IPL.
Let's go back in time a little bit and talk about the time when you decided you would become a cricketer. In retrospect, looking back, would you have done something differently?
I don't think so. I have done everything that I could. Of course, there are mistakes along the way, but I don't think that my intent was ever in the wrong place when it came to playing cricket. I wanted to win at any cost from the day I started playing this game, from the day I started playing club cricket, school cricket, then state cricket, heading up to first class cricket, and then eventually getting to play for India and IPL as well afterwards. My mindset was the same always, which is play to win and at any cost. So that hasn't changed ever.
Do you remember the day you got picked up by RCB? And just to go back in time, what were you doing that day?
Well, we were all in Malaysia for the Under-19 World Cup, and I remember the day when the drafts were happening and the Under-19 dynamic was a little different because we very rightly so had a money cap, if I could say. I mean, that was the only time where I saw a restriction on how much you could be picked for if you haven't played for India, of course. So that for us was, I remember even that moment for us was so amazing, because the amount that we got picked for, when they revealed it, we were like, we couldn't believe it, So if you had played a number of first class games, you were eligible to get X amount of money, which was the maximum in that bracket. And if you hadn't, it obviously was lesser. So when we heard that we were picked for that much, we obviously didn't know anything about the teams. We didn't know anything about the dynamic of the tournament. We understood what it's going to be like. We knew that the opportunity is going to be huge, but we didn't know how the environment's going to be. For us at that time was, wow, we never imagined at this age we'd be getting that kind of money, which obviously is a big impact in anyone's life, especially when most of the cricket players you see come from backgrounds which are not as privileged in terms of having facilities ready and stuff to use at any time you want. So you have to work through the ranks and you have to work really hard. So it just gives you a new motivation in life that yes, what I'm doing is gonna reap me the rewards, which I believe should be the case when you've chosen it as a career. And I clearly remember we went absolutely crazy. There was one conversation where I heard from people that the Delhi team is interested to go after me, but then the dynamic of their squad turned out to be so that they went for Pradeep Sangwan, who was a left arm seamer, amazing bowler at the time. He was our best bowler in under 19, and so Delhi decided to go for him because they wanted the bowling strengthened. And then RCB picked me, and that I think, again, in hindsight, I feel like that was such an impactful moment in my life, which I didn't realize at the time. But now when I look back, things could have been very different to what they are now, and I would not have it any other way than this.
2010, Kevin Peterson, Mark Boucher, Ross Taylor, Darren Sammy, Manish Pandey, Robin Uthappa. The RCB management decides to let go of all of them and put the team's responsibility on your shoulders. That must have been a big moment, right?
I felt great, to be honest. I didn't shy away from it because I knew the first 3 years of the IPL, I knew that I always had this belief that I can do something special for the team, but I was not. But you obviously have your own skill sets as well. So I felt like the composition of that team, where there were amazing players and rightly so in the right positions, I was not able to play in the position that was my strength. And for the first 3 years, it was on and off, more like a scratch for me, a performance here, a performance there. It wasn't as free-flowing and as consistent as I would have liked it to be, because I was playing at number 3 for India and I wasn't getting to do that in the IPL. So it was a bit of a strange situation for me, because I felt like I can replicate my India performances here and maybe better if I get the opportunity. And I remember, I think it was Ray Jennings at the time, coach, and Sid, who approached me. I remember we were playing the Champions League in South Africa, and shortly after that were the retentions gonna take place. So Ray Jennings and Sid came and they said, we want to have a chat with you. We are looking to retain only you from next year onwards, and we'll build a totally new squad. And I was like, that's great. That's the opportunity I'm looking for. But I told them very clearly, there's only one condition. I will only bat at number 3 and nowhere else. They said, fair enough. And I knew that I can do something special for the team. And I had no problem accepting that responsibility and for the team to feel like, yes, they can count on me.
What's your first memory at RCB?
First memory is actually, I remember we got to Bangalore, and if I'm not wrong, we did a launch at Taj West End, I remember. And it was a collaboration with some clothing brand who had done formal clothing for RCB. I think so, Peter England or Louis Philippe, one of those. And I remember we were called to Bangalore, and I checked into Windsor, and then we were called to Taj for this first event the day I arrived. So the squad is going to be presented. It was amazing atmosphere, like it was a proper ramp and all the who's who of Bangalore, and everyone's there and everyone's excited to see the players, and the squad was presented. And I remember walking into the room, and that's the first time I met Zach and PK and these guys, and for me it was surreal, because I was just sitting there and I was so timid. I was actually taken aback by the fact that I'm sitting in the same room with these guys. They just made me feel comfortable, and from there on our camaraderie, our friendship grew. And but yeah, that moment for me was very intimidating. I clearly remember.
Is this the famous Omni year as well? You can tell us that story. That's a fun story.
Without taking names, I was, after that season, because I was an under 19 boy, and I was sent to the airport after the season ended in a Omni van, and which I wasn't quite pleased about because everyone else was getting like a decent car to go to the airport in, and I was the only one that was left. And probably they would have said, just give him anything, just get him to the airport. And that wasn't a good car. I'm sorry to say, but I would have at least liked a decent car, which is not broken. I could see the road through the middle of the car. It was absolutely gone, like it was on its last leg. So not a good memory.
So you've literally seen Bengaluru like left, right, up, down as well. What's your connection with the city, and what are some of your favorite places in Bengaluru? Because you are a Bengaluru boy, right? That's how everybody looks at you. And how do you compare Bengaluru to the other cities in our country?
Well, Bengaluru has a very special place in my heart. It's always had a strong impact in my life, starting from the time that we used to come to Bangalore for the under 14, under 15 NCA camps, and we used to be there for 2.5 months at one stretch. So we used to explore quite a bit of Bangalore even then. But I think since the IPL happened and me playing there for so many years, the reason I say I'll play here till the last day of me playing the IPL is because I just cannot see myself being in any other environment. So the city has a very different feel to any other place in India. It is just when you arrive, when you land at the airport and you're driving to the hotel, you just feel like you've come home. So that's a very difficult feeling to get in a city that you haven't been born and grown up in, and you just go there for a period in the year. So I've had a very strong connection with Bangalore, a very organic, as I said, very organic connection with the city. I've made some amazing friends over the years there, and again, absolutely chilled out people, very nice people. I haven't felt like the friends that I've made in Bangalore have in any way tried to capitalize on who I've become. They've always stayed true to the organic side of the friendship, and they still talk to me the same way, and it's quite amazing. And exploring the city as well, obviously it's evolved and changed so much over the years. UB City was the spot for us back in the day. If you wanted to eat out, Shiro was a place that I went to the most, I think, in Bangalore.
Virat, I know you love RCB just as much as RCB loves you. Even for a moment, for a second, while playing this IPL tournament, have you ever wondered, is the grass greener on the other side?
To be very honest, I have thought about it, yes. I wouldn't shy away from it, and I've been approached many times as well to come into the auction, somehow put my name in there and stuff. And then I thought about it. I was like, at the end of the day, everyone has X number of years that they live, right? And then you die, and then life moves on. And there would have been many great people who won trophies and this, that, and blah, blah, blah. But no one addresses you like that. No one addresses you in the room like, oh, he's an IPL champion or he's a World Cup champion. And it's like, if you're a good person, people like you. If you're a bad guy, they stay away from you. And eventually that's what life is all about. So for me, the understanding that the loyalty with RCB, like how I follow my life, is far greater for me than the fact that, yes, 5 people in the room would say, oh, finally you've won the IPL with whoever XYZ, and yeah, you feel good for 5 minutes, but then the 6th minute you could be miserable with some other issue in life. So it is not the end of the world for me. What this franchise has given me in terms of opportunity in the first 3 years and believed in me, that is the most special thing, because as I said, there were many teams who had the opportunity, but they didn't back me, they didn't believe in me. So now when I'm successful and I should fall to the opinion of people saying, but the IPL. This was the case with me till 2018 England tour happened. For 4 years of my life, I was doing well everywhere in the world. The only thing was but England. So there's always going to be buts. You literally can't live your life like that. And I just carry on doing my own thing, and I actually honestly don't even bother about a third person beyond myself, Anushka, discussing things and just being true to ourselves, and that's it. For me, nothing else or no one else's opinion matters at all.
ये है मेरा ड्राइवर्स लाइसेंस, माय मेट्रो कार्ड और ये है मेरा फैन कार्ड।
2016, the loss in the finals. Does it hurt you that RCB hasn't won an IPL title under your leadership?
It disappoints me. I would say that we had opportunities where we came close. But look, at the end of the day, I wouldn't call it luck because the opposition's there to play as well. And if they were better on the day, you have to accept it. We have to accept the fact that the reason why we have not won is because we haven't probably been as courageous or as clear in our plans as we should have been, in those crunch moments. And yes, you could say that the odds were stacked against us in terms of the expectations were only for us to win and all that, but you have to deal with those expectations. You can't run away from them. You can't say, oh, I'm the underdog and let's see what happens every game. Stuff doesn't work like that. Yes, if you were the best team in 2016 and people expected, I mean, that game for me was, I felt like it was written. Like, how could the finals be in Bangalore and we play that kind of a season and we play that kind of a game where we are 100 something without loss in 9 overs. And till date, I mean, it's a fact that even KL to this date, when there's a highlight package running on Star of that game, he would take screenshots and say it still hurts. And it does. To an extent it does. I mean, you'd think about that game every now and then and how they were, dejected faces sitting in that amazing setup that we had done for a post victory celebration, and there was no music and such a huge setup, and we were sitting there thinking, man, we gave everything that we had, but yeah, it just I wouldn't say wasn't our day. We were not good enough on that day. It's easy to accept that, but that is one game where I feel like it hurts. That from all the IPL seasons that I've been a part of and losses and all that game I felt like we had it in front of us.
Okay, I want to take your opinion on this. What is your favorite RCB era? People remember the team for different eras, right? There was the Bangalore Boys era, the Gale era, the ABD era, and now the ABD Maxwell era. And you've been a part of all of these. Which era would you rate the highest and why?
I would say, yes, the early era was great. I think the 9-10 season is when we did really well as a team. We reached the finals in 9 and semis in 10, and we reached the Champions League finals, Champions League semi-finals in 10 as well. So that was the era where Anil Kumble, Rahul Dravid, the Bangalore legends, you might say, were playing for RCB, and that was a great phase to be a part of for me as a youngster. I really enjoyed being a part of it. But for me, the game changed when AB was bought in 2011 and Chris was signed mid-season in 2011. I just felt like when Chris came in and AB was doing what he was doing, and I was feeling, confident like I'd never felt before. I felt like something special could happen, and we reached the finals in 11, Champions League finals in 11, and the kind of cricket we played, like with the focal point being 3 of us, was something which is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, for us to feel so powerful stepping onto the field, that we knew that we could intimidate bowlers, was such an amazing feeling, because you're literally not thinking about anything else. The bowler's thinking when he's running into bowl that 3 of these guys, if 2 bat together for a while, that's it's trouble for us. So that has been the most amazing thing. The contribution of Chris to this franchise obviously remains very special. AB is a RCB legend, so is Chris. But I think 3 of us together, and then that year of 2016, which KL came into his own. I think I personally feel that, and he believes and he agrees with that as well, that his career graph changed after that. That IPL was the time where everyone saw what KL Rahul could do, and from there on he got opportunities to play for India, and then he is the player he is today. That season was obviously unbelievable. That was so amazing in a way that you have 4 guys performing at their peak, game in, game out, which is so rare to see in T20 cricket. And we just got on a roll where we felt like, fine, even if we are not doing well in the season, we could still make it. That belief never went away, which I think is very difficult to create again and again. And that happened very, very naturally that season.
For good or bad, what's the most transformative IPL story that you've come across? You've seen people from so many teams, players, support staff. It could be anybody.
The only person that comes to mind for me, 2 people actually that come to mind for me are KL and Yuzi. The reality of the situation, KL was in RCB in 2013 along with Karun, and Mayank was here till 2012, I think. 2012. So KL was never a guy who was looked at as a T20 specialist. And here's the interesting part. And he was part of Sunrisers Hyderabad, if I'm not wrong, in 2015. And Avinash Vaidya, who was our manager before, he approached me because he was in touch with KL and he was not getting any game time. And I had seen KL play for India. I hadn't seen much of KL since he left RCB, and I'd heard of KL's doing well in first class cricket and all that, but we were never. I mean, he was very young when he was in RCB, and I was already playing for India, and we were playing regularly for RCB, so we never connected in a very detailed manner. Like, we wouldn't spend so much time with each other. The younger guys were doing their own stuff, and they would hesitate to come, talk to us or spend time with us. So I had seen him play in Australia in 2014 when he made his Test debut, and I felt like, wow, he's seriously worked some wonder on his game. He's come back an amazing player. He started off so strongly in Australia, so I was very impressed with his body language, his confidence, his demeanor. And then he was playing for Sunrisers, wasn't getting many opportunities, and the opportunities he got, I felt like he was playing under pressure. You could see, like, he's trying to prove a point, he's trying to prove himself in the IPL. So when the opportunity came through, I thought, this guy's got unbelievable talent, and maybe playing in Bangalore and playing for RCB would just ease things off for him, because there, he's playing in front of his home crowd, and there's AB, myself, Chris, and if KL can play a role, maybe he can grow in confidence. He doesn't need to be the focal point or that youngster who has to prove himself. It's all about being a part of this great team and just showing what he can do. And the way he batted in that season, for me, that was a great transformation of seeing a player who was just there and thereabouts to becoming suddenly this beast in 6 months' time. And from there on, he's carried through. Same with Yuzi. He wasn't getting many opportunities before in the IPL, and he came to Bangalore, and a guy who always wanted to take the ball and bowl the way he did in Chinnaswamy was unbelievable. And his life changed from there. So these two are the 2 stories that I can think of, which in front of me I felt like were huge milestones in their careers, and that happened because of IPL and the opportunity it presented.
You spoke about Anushka. We've seen her take a lot of pride when you play for RCB or when the team's on the field. What's her take on your relationship with the franchise?
Well, she's a Bangalore girl. She's grown up there. She spent way more time than I have in Bangalore. No, not many people know this. And she has a special connection with the city already. So obviously she feels very happy that I am playing for RCB, and my commitment is always going to be for this franchise and for the city. So there's a special connection already with the city for her. And then the way the franchise has obviously looked after her when she's here in the setup, the environment. Those things are of great value, because when you're made to feel part of a larger family, which RCB is, you feel like, again, she understands the point of view of why playing for RCB and the loyalty side of things is so special to the both of us. And it is something that you cannot demand, you cannot forcefully ask someone. It is respect, it is mutual respect. So she feels very proud, and she feels very happy, of course, when we do well. and she can feel the sadness when we don't do well as well. And as I said, there's a special connection with Bangalore already. So for her, it was just things coming together in the most perfect manner that I happen to play for the same city, and she gets to go back to Bangalore and relive those special memories of her growing up there, and she absolutely loves it.
There's so much international cricket that's played. What makes the IPL so special for you?
Well, it's refreshing. International cricket is getting more and more busy, and it's getting so packed in a way that you feel like to be very honest, there have been times where I felt like we could easily have had a break at this moment. At least the guys who have more workload, right? So that's the interesting part. I mean, we all love playing for our country. Obviously, that's the most important thing. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that the next lot also has to come through, and they have to be tested as well. So finding space for that possibility to take place is also very important, because then you're thinking progressively. Then you're thinking about, okay, fine, these guys are playing today, but the reality is that we will not be playing one day. So do you have another set of 15 people who are ready to win games for India, and not have a dip for a year and a half, 2 years, where you're feeling like, oh, what's going on here? It's very easy to ignore that, and it's very easy I can understand there are many obligations, there are sponsors and whatnot, but at the end of the day, you have to plan in a progressive manner. Obviously, the sponsors would want the big names to play every series, but that's not humanly possible. So there has to be some kind of balance, I would say, between the two. There's a reason why people enjoy playing the IPL, is because it brings a fresh dynamic. It's a competition of 8 teams. It's a multi-team competition. You look at the kind of passion we play the ICC tournaments with. It's a no-brainer. I mean, you bring in that many number of teams. It's a new challenge. It's something fresh. It's something. Or you play this team today, you play the other team the next day, and you don't know who you're going to play in the semis. So it's such excitement, saying, wow, there's like motivation after motivation, and that's stimulating you in a way that you feel like, okay, let's go, next one, which I think this tournament provides, because there's so many ups and downs, and there's a package which is comprised in a way that you could be on top 1 week, and 4 days into the second week you could be feeling like, oh, are we going to make it? And then you have to find motivation and come back into the tournament. So that's what gets people going, and there's no surprise that people play with a lot of passion in the IPL.
Okay, you've played with a lot of great international players for RCB. If you had to convince one of them to take up an Indian citizenship and play for India, who would it be and why?
AB.
He wants to take you to South Africa, by the way.
Well, it's a no-brainer, because a guy like AB can contribute so immensely to the environment that he's a part of, just by being himself. Amazing human being, extraordinary player. No one even needs to talk about his game. It is beyond belief the kind of things he does, and as much as I've been at the peak of playing international cricket and peak of my abilities, you just come off a 6-month layoff and bat in a manner that you feel like, and I've probably worked 5 years to get to this level, and this guy comes with a 6-month layoff for not having played any cricket, and he's batting 5 levels above you. It is phenomenal. I don't think anyone has had or has the kind of ability that AB has, and it's just his approach towards life in general and the way he enjoys the game. That is such a big inspiration to me. If I've taken inspiration from anyone outside the game, within the game, if that makes sense, outside of the field, within the game, that has to be AB. The way he approaches life and the way he's taken decisions to prioritize the right things in his life, which is, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So if I had to convince one guy, it would be AB, and it would be a very easy decision because he already gets so much support from the Indian crowds. Even when he played for South Africa against India, you have 50,000 people in the stadium shouting ABD, ABD. So that can't happen by chance. That is a very, very special thing to happen. That does not happen to anyone anywhere in the world, to be very honest. And it's not like the South African fans have come to Wankhede. There were Indian fans chanting ABD, ABD. We were like, what the hell is going on here? But that's who he is. That's the magic of AB.
Virat, I learned how to pack for a long tour after having a chat with you. I know you're the guy who carries like 7 plain t-shirts and 4 shorts in your coat. I learned how to pack from you. But this one's an important question, right? What does all the fame, money and reputation mean to you?
Not much really, to be honest. Because, look, people don't realize this until you experience it, right? So you can experience success at a very different level. You can experience fame at a very different level. Fame is one thing that I can't sit here and say, oh, I love it. Because I've never been a guy I like my own time. I like to be left alone because I understand that I need to recharge myself, stay connected to myself, to be able to be the best version of myself for people, for my family, for the game. And if I can't do that, then I'm not happy. And I think fame takes away a big part of you in that regard, because what that does is that even if you walk past any area, anywhere, and there is someone or the other who's having an interaction with you, and it's constant. And you can't shut off people. Obviously, people are being nice to you, they love what you do, and you obviously have to respond and you have to connect with them. But over a period of time, you realize that you want some normalcy. So fame, success, money, all these things, they look great when you don't quite have them. But to be honest, that is not the key to happiness. I mean, I could sit here and say that I have all the three, but there are moments where I'm just not happy. I mean, if 10 years ago you would have told me, oh, you'd get all this and you'll be happy. That's not true. You still have to. I mean, today, as much as I've achieved in the game does not stop, right? If I want to play, I have to be as committed as I was before I got the success and while I was getting the success. So when you get to a certain point, you can't just say, okay, that's it. Now the game should finish. It doesn't happen. And if you want to continue to be a part of the game, you are just a part of the game. You are just a part of the larger scheme of things. That's very important to understand. So you are not it, basically. And that's something that me and Anushka both, we discuss this so much, and we are absolutely on the same page. And I'm so grateful that I have someone like Anushka to be absolutely honest with me and tell me things that I might not be doing right. And it's easy to drift away, very easy to drift away in the position or the situation that we are in. But to have honest conversations with each other is something that keeps us on the right track, and the journey is very tough. It's not an easy journey to be in. I mean, people on the outside, they feel like, oh, they have everything, it must be so easy. But it's not, because at the end of the day, you realize we thought getting these things will sort things out. But when you get there and you feel like this wasn't the answer, you get even more confused. You're like, so what are we actually doing? Where are we heading? And that's when you actually sit down and realize, when you are absolutely yourself in every moment that you're a part of, whether you're with your family, whether you're playing your sport, doing anything that you do in life, or being in the profession that you are, the fact that you can be yourself in that moment is all that matters for the rest of your life. And you have to keep doing it day in, day out. We talk about doing the hard yards and doing the putting in the work. That's how I look at life, exactly the same way. Every day you have to put in the work, and being true to yourself is the work for life. And no fame, money, success can get you rid of that, because you have to keep doing it every day, otherwise you're miserable.
Is this wisdom the reason why you said, okay, I need to not be the captain in one format at least, so that I have time for myself and my family? Was that one of the reasons as well, this wisdom?
Absolutely, it is. I'm not someone who would hold on to things more than I should. Even if I know I can do a lot more, but I'm not going to enjoy that process, I'm not going to do it. Because it's very difficult to make a decision or sorry, if I may put it this way, for people to understand your decisions unless they are in your situation. Right, from the outside, people have their own expectations. How did that happen? We are so shocked. There's nothing to be shocked about. I explained to people that I wanted some space and I wanted to manage my workload, and the story ends there. Now you can create 10,000 stories in your head that there's some reasons and there must be something going on, and fine, that runs your show. That's okay, and people love having those conversations which are fantastical, and eventually they realize they were just wasting their time. There was actually nothing at all. And I keep my life very simple and basic. When I wanted to make a decision, I made a decision and I announced it. I didn't want to think about it and contemplate it for another year and a half. That would have done nothing to me, nothing to the environment I'm part of. So quality of life is something very important to me, and quality of cricket is something very important to me. Over a period of time, yes, you want to do what you're doing day in, day out, and you want to do as much as you can. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that quality is far more important than quantity. Quantity in hard work, but quality in execution. That is the key. Because if you go for quantity in execution, then you're going to get burnt out. And as much as you love playing the sport, and as much as you love being intense on the field, if you can't do that, for me, that's very important. If I can't be myself in my everyday life, and if I can't be myself on the field, I will change something, because that is who I am. That is the reason where I am where I am, and that is the reason why people can connect to me at a certain level. And people, my loved ones, people who are close to me, my friends, they connected to me because of that factor, because I've always been myself. So I cannot be doing something that I'm not enjoying and being miserable every day of my life and just wasting such precious time. You have one life, you have to live it absolutely to the fullest and be happy every day.
You're one of the biggest brands in Indian sport, I'd say around the world, right? How did IPL help Virat, the brand, grow?
So what IPL does is, IPL obviously, along with being the best 2020 tournament in the world, it obviously is a great opportunity for brands to partner with teams and have people do campaigns through the season, which otherwise it's a very difficult thing to compile together. Having so many big names in one screen, it's very difficult to get together. So I think the USP of IPL and the brand side of things has been that you'd have a Chris Gayle, AB de Villiers and myself in a single frame doing some funny stuff which you wouldn't get to see otherwise at an individual level. So I think that's where IPL really elevated people's brand value. Not just myself. I mean, to be very honest, as an individual, I I would say that I would have gained more performing for India and doing that through the year, and becoming that person that you can relate to, or the brands can bank on, saying, okay, we can do long partnerships and stuff like that. But I think for people in general in the IPL, I think that's, especially the overseas players, that's opened up opportunities like they wouldn't have imagined before. And that's basically down to mixing up with the Indian guys, the big names in Indian sport, in Indian cricket, and being part of campaigns where they start becoming relatable to people eventually. And so that's how the dynamic has rolled on. But I honestly, in all honesty, I feel that the brand side of things for me has purely been based on my performances for India.
ये है मेरा ड्राइवर्स लाइसेंस, माय मेट्रो कार्ड, और ये है मेरा फैन कार्ड.
Now, this one's a big question, but an important one, right? What do we, the audience, not see about your cricket journey?
I don't like to call that aspect of things hardship, but it's the moments when you are sitting in your room with absolutely zero confidence, with absolutely zero conviction that you can perform the next day, and what it takes to overcome that. That is something I can show you training videos, I can show you what I do on a monthly basis, and yes, you can take inspiration and all that, but it's very difficult for anyone to know what it takes for you to play under the kind of pressure you have to play in, keep up with those performances, make sure that you are committing yourself 200% to make your team win. And when things are not going right, how you manage all those expectations from yourself, not from people. So that, I think, is the most challenging part of being at a level, at the top level for 15-20 years. It cannot happen in any other way, because you obviously have the skill, you have the ability, but how you react to the times when you're not feeling great, and how you ride that wave and accept things the way they are, but still it's a very delicate thing to do when you know you're not doing well, and you feel like you don't want to work, you don't want to go to practice, you don't want to work hard in the gym. It eats you up from the inside, because that's not who you are, and your mind is dominating you, and it's making you feel like you're not good enough. At the same time, you are part of a competition, and you have to keep going, and there's a space in between where you cannot afford to, so one foot is in doubt and the other foot is in this empty space in between, but you know that this true nature of yours, which is fearless, believe in yourself, instinctively work for things, is on the other side, but it's still a part of the ecosystem. So you can't let go of that. Still, you can't just go, fine, day 3 of a test match, I'm done, I'm going home. It doesn't work that way. You got 2 more test matches to go. How do you manage feeling so bad, wanting to eat anything that comes in front of you, going away from all your disciplines, at the same time keep working hard because you're still part of that competition and you are committed to play for your country, for your team, and at the same time not drop your work ethic. When during that work in the gym you're feeling absolutely worthless and you feel like, I don't want to lift even a piece of paper, forget any weights. That is for me the main essence of being at this level for so long, because you can go through that. And it's not to say, oh, things will be so much better on the other side, but you feel like as an individual you're respecting all phases of life, and even in your worst times you are committed to do the hard work, and it's not based on success. That to me is the real game here, because that is eventually God's test, is how I look at it. And if you're not up to the test, then you're basically not being grateful and not being loyal to the opportunity that's been given to you.
And man, hey, you're human. You are going to go through ups and downs, right?
Of course, that's the thing, right? I mean, I take the decisions that I've taken and suddenly it hits people very differently, because they look at me operating for the last 7-8 years in a certain way and they feel like, oh, this guy's going to play every game. This guy is going to be on the screen all the time. This guy is going to play a certain way all the time. At the end of the day, I can't explain to people the kind of emotions I deal with as an individual. I'm not saying that my situation is drastically difficult, but when I'm not judging anyone else's situation because I don't have experience of it, so I can talk from a personal point of view. You can still choose to judge or whatever. That's your business. I don't have anything to do with it, but I would personally not make a judgment, not judgment, but an assessment of someone else's situation unless I've experienced it. So maybe I've been doing what I've been doing, managing all these things on the sideline. So that is something that I will never be able to physically or in a documented manner or in steps or anything like that be able to explain to people. Because that's a very being in the moment thing, which you feel a certain way and you have to overcome that every moment that you're a part of. That for me is the most important thing.
It's been so nice just hearing you just dish out wisdom after wisdom after wisdom. I want to bring you back to where we started this entire conversation. How has the IPL changed your life?
Well, it's shown me many phases of evolution of my life till now. I mean, I'm talking like I'm some 75-year-old guy or something, but still, I would talk about the last 10 years. From the time that I was striving through to get an opportunity to perform, then performing at the peak of my abilities for so many years, and just being in that hustle, that competitive space that I've relished. now seeing new talent coming up and getting excited by that it's nothing like the IPL would have provided you with that opportunity year in year out, because you can have someone have a great domestic season and they'll come and perform for India, but to churn out talent after talent every year and exciting new prospects every year, for me at this stage of my career, that is the most important thing. Because where I stand, I want to leave Indian cricket in a very good space eventually when I retire, with great talent and strong individuals carrying on the work that we have done for the last so many years. So it's a beautiful thing to realize that IPL has shown you all these kind of phases, from opportunity to entertainment, to playing passionately for your franchise and performing at a high level, and camaraderie and friendships, to now being in a phase where you are kind of that senior person looking at new talent, wanting to groom them and guide them in the right direction eventually, all through this channel. Because otherwise you will not have these conversations after games with these guys every now and then, and help them in a certain way. That kind of time being spent with these guys, I'm sure, is of great value, like it was to us. So I've experienced all phases with the IPL. It's been an amazing journey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Listen to all the episodes of the RCB podcast on Spotify, Gaana, Amazon Prime Music, and Apple Podcasts.